enthusiastic than the ovation I received.
I know, I paid them, but don't worry about it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we were a little late because John was in the bathroom.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I do something at every one of the little dog and pony shows I do.
Okay.
Which you do not have to participate in.
Right, yeah.
But this is what I do. I give a prize for the person who asks the most embarrassing question. Now, the prize package is a little thin right now. It's got a bunch of candy in it and 50 cents. So to bump it up a little bit, pardon? American cents. Canadian cents. I also wrote a poem that I assigned that will go to the winner of the person who asked the most embarrassing question. And after this, I'm going to turn it all over to Gates. All your questions will be towards Gates. And if nobody asks an embarrassing question, I have one.
But for the person who asks the best question, I have a new Range Rover out and back. No, I'm just kidding. We all wish, right?
Is it true that you...
Yeah, really. He's desperate for it. Okay.
Congratulations, unknown fan. You made me cry, mascara ran. And for your cruelty today, you get a bag of crap. Hooray. And this poem, too, which I now sign, for you to boast of when you dine with other fans as cruel as you. Oh, you who made me feel like poo.
John, your talents never cease to amaze me. That's all I can say, right?
The stage is yours. I've said my piece. I'm not going to say anything else.
Okay. All right. No problem then. All right. So now...
Oh! Best panel ever! Dominic Keating won't let me do this.
I know, but I'm here.
I know.
I'm here for John.
This is so exciting.
It is so exciting. So, should we just like open it up to questions? Should we like, what do you think? Should we talk about like, you know, we obviously don't even want to begin on politics because you...
No, we don't want to begin on politics.
I mean,
perhaps
that's what we talk about.
Yes, I was told that Prime Minister Trudeau was here. Is that true?
He was going to say something. What were you
I was going to throw out a first question while we wait for some of the audience members to line up with the microphones, and please don't be shy. But I have this thing where my hip clicks sometimes.
Yeah.
I know just what to do for that. So, you're not going to like this, but on Denobula, this is really, really popular. So just lie down. I'm gonna need 6 large men.
Make it 7, it really hurts.
Actually, wait a minute. I think I can help.
Okay.
You let me know, is this about right?
Wow.
Just breathe.
Look at this. The whole 6 large men thing would have been funner.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
All right, you'll get my bill tomorrow, honey.
There you go.
There's no Obamacare with me.
Hell, man.
I'm kidding. All right.
Needled.
You guys have the health system, I'm telling you. You guys are impressive. Can I just say, the gender-free I love it. I love the bathrooms. This is the best green room I personally have ever experienced. We go back to our green room. It's really good food. Oh my God. And then we get a Starbucks set up for us backstage.
I didn't get a Starbucks.
Oh baby, I'll give it to you. But I mean, it was amazing because usually we order something and they have to go and stand in line somewhere like normal, you know, and we get it 2 hours later at our where we're signing autographs and it's cold. This is awesome here. You guys know what you're doing here. Yeah. Thank you, Ottawa.
Actually, my intention in coming here was to defect.
I know. It's a serious consideration, and every day it's closer to saying, let's just stay. Yeah.
You guys should build a wall.
You guys should pay for it.
Let's do some questions. Let's do some questions.
I'm gonna have to tie you down.
Okay, time. I like to stand. I like to stand.
Okay.
Is that gonna bug you?
Well, only if you do it like Trump did to Hillary. That will bug me. But you know, otherwise, yeah, that kind of thing. That's, yeah. I mean, we have an insane toddler. Yes, but never mind. I can't do it. Okay.
If he ever comes to Canada, would you just tie him up and throw him in your basement and keep him for a few years? Throw him a cheeseburger every now and again.
Okay, first question.
First question.
This is a question for Gates. I wanted to ask it in Halifax, but we ran out of time. And I'm hoping to win that Range Rover. In the 24th century, people come to see Beverly's plays, even though they can hang out in the holodeck and do all sorts of advanced technology fun. How would you describe interest or the health of live theater today, given that people have Netflix, games on their phones, and virtual reality goggles are starting to come out?
Okay, well, you know, it's funny. I personally always have, theater is my first love. And I think it's because I like the audience live interaction. I like that even, that's part of why I love conventions, actually. I find I really meet some interesting people, and there's a connection that happens. And I feel that when I'm at something that's a live performance of any kind, be it music, whatever, or anything can happen. And in many plays I've done, anything has happened. You know, we've had to start to get something, like I cut myself once and this guy we're fighting to the death and I'm actually bleeding and he's freaked out for me, but it actually was a little cut that happened to be bleeding. And you know, there's this adrenaline rush and you're like, well, we're telling the story, this is happening, I'm okay. I love theater. I love making people think. I like the interaction. Every show is different. I also love television. I also love filming. It's fantastic. I find that's more of an editing, directing process personally. So I think theater should be supported because it's sort of like you need to have stories and you need to be in a communal situation. I think this kind of situation is very interesting, good experience. We're here because of Star Trek for one reason or another, right? Yeah. And so it helps me to find what's in common that we have, which I feel for me gives me hope in the world. And I need hope sometimes in this world.
There was nothing embarrassing about that question, sir. I mean that in a bad way.
It's okay, John, I got you over here.
Oh, good heavens. Yes, you do. Hello.
Wait a minute, don't we go up? No, wait a minute. Fair is fair. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Hello.
I'm larger.
Hello.
I'm larger. I'm bigger.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Trump, sit down. Okay.
So I got your back on this one, John. I am a massive Suits fan. I've been power watching it all. And since you've mentioned that you want to defect to Canada as your legal counsel, I'm channeling my what would Harvey do moment. And I need to know, was it a #1 or a #2? Because it's going to play out in court. It's the only way I can get you in here.
Is that a bathroom reference?
It is, and embarrassing.
I'm not sure that I quite see the connection there between the #1, #2, and my defection. It's really going to hinge upon my bowel movements?
Well, #1 was Riker.
Pardon?
#1 was Riker.
Oh, I see. It's a Star Trek joke. You do not get the prize. Very nice try. Oh, did I mention that I'm the one who determines who wins a prize? I'm the one who determines who wins a prize. It can be you guys if you want. It can be by public acclamation.
Yes, order. Yes.
Can I make a message of public interest first? I lost Fluffy, my dog Fluffy, and you know he's quite big, right? He runs on the street, he might crash a car. So if you see Fluffy, you send him my way.
There you go.
Now I have a question for...
I have a question too.
Yes, have you seen Harry?
No, it has something, oh no,
Maybe he's with Fluffy.
No. I was going to ask about your mental health laws, so...
Oh,
Nothing.
I have another question of an anatomical nature for yes.
Whoops.
Does Captain Picard have large feet? It's a two-part question. Does Captain Picard have large feet? And are they bigger than mine?
Well, I don't know about yours, honey.
Want me to come up there? You called for big men before.
Okay.
If it was just me, I would say yes. But I don't think that's... Oh my God, they are large. Look at you.
All right, next question over here.
This message is, so this question is for Gates. You, of course, worked with Jim Henson on movies like Labyrinth and Muppets Take Manhattan. And I just wanted to know your experience working with Jim Henson, what it was like working with him.
You know, as you can imagine, because Kermit was his alter ego, for sure. I mean, for sure. That's, he was very funny, but slyly funny, as was Frank Oz. Jim was initially sort of shy, but then he was just really, really like Kermit. But he sort of would let people fight it out. He'd come up, he'd bring a group of extraordinary people together, it seemed to me. And then all this magic would happen. And obviously he was the one who was behind all of it, or Frank. I mean, Frank is also a super creative genius, in my opinion, too. But when for example, he would do things and you had no idea that actually there was a whole train of thought that got you to that point. For example, when I went for the Muppets Take Manhattan audition, it was really one of the very first things I had done. And I had been doing theater in New York. And unbeknownst to me, he had come to see the first thing I'd ever done in New York, which was a play called Cloud 9. And so I didn't know he had seen it. They asked me if I wanted to come in to read for this, like, 3-line part of The Secretary for Dabney Coleman. I was a huge Dabney Coleman fan. He's, like, brilliant. So I said, yeah, sure. And I assumed, all my friends said, oh yeah, there's going to be like 100 people. They're all going to look alike, and it's just going to be a drag, but, you know, you'll say the 3 lines. I came in, there was no one there. They were like, would you like coffee? Would you like this? And I go in and I'm talking to him, and they didn't even have me read. And I'm like, well, this isn't so bad, the movie auditions. This is really great. Well, meanwhile, unbeknownst to me, this is 2 years before Labyrinth. He had a whole plan going because he knew I was a choreographer. He knew I taught at Tisch. And he wanted someone who could teach acting, work with his actors. I was supposed to play the part of Jennifer Connelly's mother in the movie. And at the last minute, British Equity, of course, bastards, wouldn't let me. And it took him 2 years to get me working papers. I did other work for him and wasn't allowed to actually get full credit for it because I wasn't in the union. So I had done a movie called Dreamchild as well. But that's the way Jim worked, and I didn't know any of this until like 2 years later. He would go and he would test people. Like he took me for this movie Dreamchild. We flew over together, and he said, I want you to do this, and you know, it's going to be state-of-the-art animatronics, and compared to what they do now, it was really clunky, but we did it. But he left me on my own to do it, and it was a sink or swim kind of thing. And that was his test for me. He wanted to see what was going to happen if I was really running the ship in that area. And things happened, and they did happen. Like, everything broke down, we had to deal with it. So that was the way he worked, and in a way, it sort of just made people come together. But he was, you know, quite an extraordinary visionary, and it's odd, I think about this, and then I'll shut up, John, but
I'm listening to every word you say.
Yeah, thank you. But it's interesting.
Just get my newspaper.
I am actually much more like out of the envelope, a little more strange, avant-garde, weird. And both people who were really influential in my life were like Gene Roddenberry and Henson, both of whom had their finger on these very important and commercial as well ventures, but they were life-changing things for so many people. So it was really, I was fortunate.
Thank you very much.
Wake up, John.
Look at this. I did this. I mean, they
darling,
won.
darling. Oh my God.
I know.
Oh, they're not both for me?
They're not both for you? Did she just say that? They're not both for me? This is ginger ale.
And you only brought 2?
I love Ottawa more and more every second. I said to him as I came on, I said, look, if he just starts to go, I said, you're gonna have to get me a scotch because, you know, I'll just be sitting there drinking while he's talking.
Look, I brought you to your feet.
Darling, I love this guy.
Here's the Ottawa.
He's the best, he's wonderful. All right, here's to all of you.
Yes.
The questions are, I mean, the answers are gonna get a lot better. Watch. No, actually, I'll get completely different.
If the questions are gonna get better, they gotta drink. Whiskey for everyone!
I have not had a drink for a week, so I'm gonna be, yeah, I'm a cheap drunk.
Put it on Gates' tab!
All right, next question.
Put it on Brent Spiner's tab since he decided to not come, so he can pay for your whiskey.
Oh, that's why I'm here.
I always put everything in my hotel rooms to Brent. He doesn't know it, don't tell him, okay?
So,
I got his credit card number.
Oh, share that later, will you, honey?
No, don't.
Okay, so this is for you, Gates.
This is...
Your side is infinitely creepier than...
Is this Lefroy? I want to know, is this Lefroy? This is very smooth.
This is very good. This is very good.
They were not kidding us.
This is very good.
Ottawa is good.
Ottawa, we like Ottawa. Yes,
so this is for you, Gates. Also to kind of piggyback on what you just said about, well, forget what I already forgot. John made me forget.
I did too.
John made me forget.
It was about puppets.
Your comment about gender-neutral bathrooms.
Yes.
Oh.
Star Trek Nemesis. When has anybody ever heard of Brent Spiner? Some weird dude who doesn't show up. Anyway, so made a statement in the movie just before he tried to sing. He's welcome, ladies and gentlemen, an invited transgender species. I'm a transgender woman. To hear something so validating, so real, to put a human face to me as a trans person who, let's not kid ourselves that it's not always that glorious being a trans person in light of the way that society treats you. So, grew up on the street, so Star Trek became my one out. Because, let's face it, Beverly, y'all got it all figured out. So, and if you ever want to like run over here to Ottawa, you're more than welcome.
Oh, thank you. So,
I just wanted to thank you for that validation. To me as a trans person is like meeting God. Thank you.
That's fantastic, because I think you deserve it. And that was one of the things also, the episode, the episode about the trill was actually, that species, that was our first, for example, openly gay writer who wrote that episode. And it was kind of an honor for that to be one that I was very involved in, even though I was 8 months pregnant and big as a house, but whatever. It was my first romantic episode. It was really interesting, that idea of what is love, and putting the host, you know, that was the episode. I thought that was really brave. It made people think about what is love, how much is physical, how much is mental, experiential. Yeah, I thought the writers did an amazing job. It's Gates, honey, but you're welcome, darling.
This question is probably more relevant for the person who didn't spend all her time in front of the camera in prosthetics. Sorry. It's a trend. How do you deal with celebrity? Like, can you walk out and avoid being recognized? Do you get mobbed or?
I do not get mobbed. You will be surprised to hear. Even my wife doesn't recognize me sometimes.
This is true.
Who's that?
And for me, it is the weirdest thing. I am usually not recognized. And it's funny, but I will be recognized in a grocery line because someone hears my voice. And I've had more people recognize me, don't ask me why, because of my voice. They are like, wow, I swear that old hag said, are you, and, you know, that kind of thing. But I have been with the entire cast in the heyday of Star Trek. And I have been first class in a plane that Paramount is flying us over to the premiere of First Contact. And I'm sitting, and there's Patrick, Brent, everybody. I'm sitting next to Brent. And the stewardess comes around, and she's like so excited. Mr. Stewart, can I have a Brent? Thank you. And then she comes, Mr. Spiner, can I have yours? And then Brent says, she starts turning. He says, don't you want hers? And she says, oh yes, Mrs. Spiner, would you sign this? And so I signed it, love you, Mrs. Spiner. I mean, it's totally random. I find that I am usually recognized when I have zero makeup, I look like crap, and I don't want to be seen.
Me too.
That's when I'm recognized, or when my son would be screaming, crying on a plane or something, and they'd say, oh, I just want to, and I'm like, get away. You know, but yeah, no, I'm not recognized very much.
I will also say that I have the record for most performances as a child molester in Los Angeles character actor history. Oh. So frequently what I'm recognized for is not what I want to be recognized for. I don't even like children, no offense. Too many actual children here. I'm sure you're one.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
And now let's go to the weird side.
It's actually a child.
Oh no!
You'll regret what you just said, by the way.
Give it to him, give it to him. Yes, Jamie, not right. Oh, ye with forked tongue. Oh, ye with forked tongue.
This is for you, Kate.
Wait a second.
Thank you. It's for me, John.
I've got a William Shatner movie.
Yes, my dear.
What was it like acting as a mother?
In real life or in...
In Star Trek.
I act like a mother in real life. In Star Trek, you know, it was pretty great because, I mean, what's not to like about Will Wheaton, right? I mean, you know, he was 14. He had just done Stand By Me. He was just like, he was great, right? And all of the older fans, when we first started doing cons, they would write these nasty letters and they'd say, and I'm like, I raised that boy. He has saved our ass so many times on that ship. I raised him. Don't you do that to my boy, you know? So, and then, of course, I'd have the young girls writing me and sending me 5 pictures that I'm supposed to get him to sign, like I really was his mother. And I'm like, no, girl, no, I'm not his real mother, and I'm not going to pimp for him. But anyway, but you know, I love my space son. It was great being a mother, and I thought it was a crucial thing to have this in our series, because there are so many single parents, as well as parents, of course, and to show that it's part of your life and you're working, and yes, you have family, and you have relationships on the ship, and you have to get along, and there are older people on the ship, there are all kinds of people on the ship. And I loved it. I thought it was a genius thing for them to do. And very prophetic, because Lord knows, every time my computer doesn't work, or my iPhone, I do turn to my 25-year-old or my 30-year-old, you know, I say, can you help me with this? And they're like, oh no. But it's exactly what's happening.
On the other hand, we had a beagle, which I think is also important. Not to be a speciesist.
One most important question is, do you have any advice for me when I grow up and become an actress, as for if I act as a mother?
Okay, that's interesting. Well, I would say...
I don't.
Not asking you.
I know.
Emily Gray or Grace?
Emily Grace.
Emily Grace.
Emily Mudd.
She's gonna... I bet we're gonna be reading that name. Oh yeah. You know, I think what you do is you do with all characters. You remember back in your own life. You empathize. You take a look at what kind of a mother this character you're playing is. And I have no doubt you seem like you have good parenting happening in your life, right? I think you're going to be just fine, okay? And if you need to have an abusive situation, you can just go with his performances.
You'll be surprised at what you're asked to play.
My stuffies are much more useful when it comes to parenting.
I only have one prize to give you. It's a prize for embarrassing me, not insulting me.
I'm not trying to. It's just part of my nature.
Okay. Well, be true to yourself, but also be kind. Okay.
We get along very well, I suspect, really.
Yeah, all right. That was great.
That's a great, wow, holy cow. Top that, young fella.
I'll do my best. All right. Hi, Gates. This question is not for you, it's for John.
Holy cow!
So, during a Zindi attack, when the sick bay is filling full of wounded, do you prefer to be wearing boxers or briefs?
That question gets asked quite a bit. And again, and I realize that there are children here, so I'll keep my question within the boundaries of commando style. Is how that's why Dr. Phlox has so many partners. For those of you who watch the show, I know that's only about 7 of you. We were a polyamorous species. In one episode, did I have a chance at actually getting some booty, and my wife, the woman who plays my wife, makes a pass at Connor Trenier. That's how much respect I got. Number 7 on the call sheet, I tell you. It ain't fun.
Next question.
Another child, oh great.
John, this is for you.
Oh my God, I love you. Yes, sir.
What was your embarrassing moment of your life?
The most embarrassing moment of my life. I actually have an answer to that. You'll be surprised to hear. Years and years and years ago, I was at a train station in Connecticut, and on the opposite side of the tracks, I thought I saw a man menacing a woman. And I didn't know what to do or how to respond. And I thought the only way to stop this is to cause a scene. So this is what I did. Hey, you! It turned out he was not menacing that woman. They were just having a little argument. So I had to walk all the way back across the train tracks and sit and wait for the train to come. I saw everybody kind of like walk away. Like give me the widest berth, because that man just got up, ran across the train tracks, squawked like a chicken, came back, sat down, and picked up his paper. That would probably be my quick answer.
Hi, so I have a question for both of you, actually. I was looking on the...
Does anybody want to see Gates squawk like a chicken too? I know I do. No, she's not going to do it. She's not going to do that.
I'll do it for the Range Rover, baby. I'll do it.
I was looking on the Star Trek wiki under the I'm a Doctor, Not a Fill-in-the-Blank, and I noticed that you two are the ones with the least amount. Beverly has none, and John Billingsley actually only has 1.
The most what?
Huh? What?
The Dr. McCoy, I'm a Doctor, Not a... insert profession that's not medical.
Are we expected to insert something?
No, what I was going to ask was that on purpose or it just happened?
We're both
in our dialogue that.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think they wanted me at all to be trying to. I think the only nod that I got was bone crusher, but I don't think that had. They didn't want me to be anything like that. They wanted me to be a different character. You know, someone who just wasn't that kind of thing. I feel there was a tremendous effort made in having her be more. Supportive of patients, and the very fact that to have a love interest with Picard would make it so it wasn't antagonistic that way. Where our antagonisms ever came would arise when there was a conflict between the Prime Directive and the Hippocratic Oath, and that was fascinating to me. So I think that's where they wanted that to be. But it wasn't about I'm a doctor, because actually what was a riot is if you look at Dr. Crusher. I mean, what would I have said? I'm a doctor, not a tap dancer. I'm a doctor, not the ship's drama coach. I mean, it was like crazy, the stuff that she ended up doing. I'm a doctor, not a woman who's in love with a lamp. I mean, you know, I don't think it would have worked the same way.
Were you in love with a lamb on the show?
At my last season, right, 7 seasons, and I find out that my family history was all the women who were in love with Ronan. Who,
like a Gene Wilder kind of?
Who was like, he came from a lamp, there was this thing in a lamp. And so it did explain a lot of my craziness, I suppose, but no. Yeah.
A lamp.
A lamp.
Like a lamp.
Lamp. Like
I thought she said lamb, like
it was in the same genre.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's better.
I mean, actually, I don't think it would have worked, you see, because if I'd said, I'm a lamp, not I'm a woman in love with a lamp and a doctor.
It took me this long to even understand the question. You mean a reference in the show? I see. What was mine? I didn't even know I had one.
I'm a physician, not an engineer.
Oh, well, that's a great line, isn't it?
And you're saying I had a couple of them?
You had none.
Oh, well, there you go.
You had none.
All right.
But you had 7 seasons and we only had 4. Sure, they would have piled up eventually. The combination weird children's side?
My question was, for either of you, you both played compassionate doctors, but was there another character that you always thought, yeah, I'd like to try to be that character. I would have enjoyed playing that character.
In the franchise?
Yeah, as a
the Beagle. I totally wanted to play the Beagle. All he didn't have any lines. He had to eat cheese all day. He got to sit in a chair. He could fart freely. No one cared.
I would have loved to have done the Borg Queen. I would have loved to have done a Klingon. Borg Queen, Alice Krieger. Fabulous, fabulous. I would have loved to have done an alien of some kind. I really find that, although I would have hated the makeup, just like everyone who did it hated having to spend time in makeup. But that would have been really fun to do, you know.
I also always wanted to be an ingenue, but you know, what the hell.
It's not too late.
It's not too late? Yeah. Normal side?
No. Yeah, I just had a question for John. I'm wondering, what did you find...
You're very popular, you see.
What did you find most interesting about Denobulan culture?
Well, I mentioned the fact that we're polyamorous. You know, actually, what I liked, and this is kind of a little bit of a response to the question over here, having played for years oddballs and serial killers and child molesters and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, Dr. Phlox was the closest to me of any character I've ever played. He had a willingness to engage. He was optimistic. Now I'm going to sound like I'm praising myself. I screwed that up entirely. Let me rephrase. He was more like the way I would like to be. Isn't that a good save, huh? Yeah. Than anyone I've ever played. I really appreciated the fact that there was not an ethical question that he wasn't prepared to wrestle with. And that he brought a perspective to it, which is what Star Trek does at its best. If there's anything that for me as a fan, as well as a cast member, what I think makes Star Trek work when it works is it finds a wonderful way to say, wait a minute, have you considered this point of view? Well, what about that point of view? I think that's, for my money, the best of the 3 episodes that we did. One was called Similitude, which was about the morality of cloning. And it does what Star Trek does best. It brought an ethical question into conflict with the opposite side of the question, and it pulled it off through a very tight, tense, dramatic storyline.
And I think now that's what has to happen with medicine, and things are happening so fast now. In science and medicine, we really do have to look at the ethical questions about it, and in everything in our lives. And this goes back to the bones question. I think that, for example, when they tried Dr. Pulaski, that was more in the bones mold of having a doctor who was really curmudgeon-y and didn't want all this. But I just don't think it works with where we are now. It was great in the 60s, that sort of relationship. But they took Worf, and Worf was kind of the he had a little bit of the curmudgeon thing that worked really well comically. But I think that it's a different time now with medicine. We need to have that kind of role model.
And in our culture generally, it's a tricky thing with Star Trek to find a way to honor what Gene was wanting to do to keep an optimistic, positive spirit about the possibility of human progress, and to tell that story in an era as opposed to the 60s when it seemed like it was a little more available to us. Now it doesn't seem so available, and that's a different set of challenges for the writers and for Star Trek itself, which I frankly found in Enterprise was not always fulfilled. It's one of the reasons I liked aspects of the show, but in all candor, I sometimes, in talking to people, say I don't know that I necessarily think it responded to the zeitgeist of the times in a way that was truly reflective of what Mr. Roddenberry intended. One man's opinion. That's the only serious answer you're going to get from me, I swear to God. There's nobody even on the weird side anymore. What's up with that?
We're actually running short on time. So we're only We've only got a few minutes left, actually, so we're going to be going through the questions that have already lined up on this side. Get through as many as we can before we run out of time.
Okay.
I'm actually here with a friend who is a Trek fan, and he's introducing me to Trek. I'm going through the show for my first time ever right now, and
all of them?
All of them. I haven't gotten to you, John, yet. I'm sorry, but I will.
How much time do you have? Do you have a job? Are you able to spend your life doing this?
I'm trying, anyway. So both of you can answer this, but I'm sorry, John, I haven't gotten to you yet. But one thing I've noticed and that I really appreciate about the Star Trek franchise is how one of the recurring themes is about accepting differences, different genders, races, languages, colors, and you've even approached the concept of mental illness a few times. I've seen an episode of approaching PTSD, and actually that's kind of what brought my friend and I together, because I am a mentally ill person, and that show taught him to learn to understand me instead of be afraid of me.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
We're also both actors, and my question is, as an actor, as you approach an episode that has such touchy subject matter, potentially risky subject matter, how does that affect the way that you approach that particular acting job?
No, I mean, I don't think one ever holds back, right? I mean, if you have a good role, and it's great if you're dealing with provocative subjects, it's fantastic.
You should be so lucky.
Yeah, exactly. It's wonderful. You can really think about it, and you can really be right there in the moment going, okay, I'm going to say this. It's like, when Crusher said, I'm not ready, when it was that Trill episode, the host. I think that was really, that was speaking this one person, this character's point of view. But it didn't say that was the way to be. It just said that was where the character was. I think it's really interesting.
Most actors get into this business because on some level what we want to do, and it's not always easy to do in television, is to find ways to express the full range of what it is to be human. And every single person contains, as Walt Whitman said, multitudes. Every single person has in them the potential to kill and to sacrifice. Every single person is mad and lucid. Every single person is everything. And the utmost job of an actor is to remind everybody not to judge, because you are that which you are judging. That's our gig.
Well, thank you for changing my life.
Oh, you're welcome. And also, it's that thing, I think, for acting, what is really great, when you have writing that makes you think, okay? And you are ready to, you're with somebody who's a good actor, and there you are, and you're talking about some subject that really has great meaning. You really can take the time to think about it. I mean, your character can think about it. And we know that that makes, that you all are thinking about it, and I see that from the conventions, the people are coming up. That's really cool. That's why this show has lasted so long. I mean, it's like we do have a dialogue. There is something happening, and it's bigger than all of us. You know, it's great.
I'm afraid that's all the time we have. I can't think of a better place to leave it than that. That was such a wonderful answer from the both of you. My apologies to those still online. We have run out of time, but you'll both be around for the rest of the weekend signing autographs.
Thank you all so much. Really, I'm so honored. Thank you.
Thank you both so much.